and welcome to the 9th episode of the second season of The Lives Of. I'm your host, Audrey Creighton, and I'm delighted to share that for my 9th interview, I've chosen one of the most creative and kind people I know, Deb Housh. Deb works as an art and design instructor at the Dayton Regional STEM School. She works with and inspires students every day. Deb inspires me to always entertain my creative side. I'm so grateful to have her in my life, and I'm so excited to share our interview. Thank you so much for watching.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
All right. Well, I was born in Lima, Ohio, and my folks moved to Lima from out of state. So I didn't have any extended family or anything in Ohio. That always felt kind of different than a lot of my peers who seem to be from that town. And I think also because of that, we would travel every holiday, was always get in the car and drive to, my dad was from outside of Indianapolis and mom was from just outside of Chicago. So I spent a lot of time in those places during my childhood, but I am Ohio, born and bred, I suppose. I don't know. I think my childhood was a pretty creative one, but even though I ended up going into the arts, really it was my dad and uncles and grandfather were all engineers, and it kind of, the creativity I think was more focused on wood shops and other kinds of problem solving like that. And then, I would do arts and crafts and things like that. Probably because it was the late 70s and 80s when I was in high school, and that the idea was like, oh, she's a girl and she's creative, so she'll be an artist. Whereas I definitely have thought in years later that I probably would not have been so much steered into the arts. I probably would have done architecture or something a little bit more STEM related creativity, but and that probably connects to what I was just saying. So again, I think I was really steered towards visual arts because I liked working with my hands and creating things. So I think that did become what I wanted to be an artist. But I really liked the soapbox derby. That was like the big, really exciting activity that I was involved with when I was a kid. So, again, I think that had I known a little bit more about different options, it might have been something more towards that direction. But I did always want to be an artist. And so I guess I got to fulfill that desire.
Yes, it worked out. Yeah.
So I teach at the Dayton Regional STEM School here in Dayton, and it's very creatively focused. In addition, we think of STEM, of course, as science, technology, engineering, math, but at my school in particular, there's really a heavy focus throughout all the disciplines on creativity and other soft skills that I think lend themselves well to the arts and design. So I feel really supported as an art and design teacher there. And I think why it's such a good fit for me is because of my interests in these other disciplines, and not just art for art's sake. And so, it's been a really good match for my skill set. And I love that I get to collaborate with a lot of other teachers who know all these amazing things about, biology or environmental studies or physics. And, I get to do projects with them and learn along with them.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Typically, maybe an art and design teacher, one would imagine their greatest passion is that when they find that student that really wants to become an artist and they get to propel them. And I certainly get to do that sometimes. But what I have found that I love the most about it is the students who don't consider themselves artists necessarily, or enjoy art, but have a different path. And so I love being able to show them that what we're doing in an art and design class is going to integrate into whatever their goals are in life. And at the very least, it's like building parts of their brain that's going to be really valuable to whatever profession, whatever academic path or profession that they choose. So I think, again, it's more that cross-disciplinary thing, rather than, I'm just training artists to become artists.
Right.
Because I really do believe that the arts and design skills integrate into all kinds of aspects of our lives that are both enriching and, on a personal level, but also really support all kinds of problem solving and, creative collaborations and things like that in professional lives.
Yeah, very cool. Like teaching people that art is a part of life, whether it's your path or not. Right.
That's it. Yes. Summed that up nicely, Audrey. So I think one thing that happens when you get to have a job doing something that you're pretty passionate about is that it does take over. And so, I mean, a lot of my hobbies are really part of my work. I miss doing creative endeavors that are not part of my work, but because of doing creative work all the time in my regular teaching job, and developing curriculum as a teacher is really creative work too, that I enjoy. And then, Matt and I have this side thing where we have a couple of rental houses and we're always doing projects for those and design, decorating, making, choices with the upkeep of those homes. That ends up really, I mean, at least at this point in my life, there aren't really any hobbies beyond that. I wish there were, because I used to do ceramics a lot. And
cool.
But yeah, I have not made a pot since probably COVID.
Wow. Yeah. There's still time to get back at it.
I know there is always time. And I'm always thinking, like, as soon as I just get over this hump with, this new initiative, through my work or this new rental property or whatever, then I'll have some more of that time. But I will say that I'm in a book club, so I love reading. So that's probably, I can check that off my list as a hobby and also socializing. And then, I don't think it's a hobby per se, but, I get to go to some, events and organizations and things around Dayton, most weekends. I try to carve out that kind of time. And so while that's not a hobby, going to like Oktoberfest or going to the International Peace Museum to see, the gallery opening or the Dayton Art Institute. I mean, those are things that are really important to me. Again, maybe not a hobby, but it's an important time and something that I can share with my partner and sometimes with the whole family if I can gather them to come.
Right. Yeah.
Well, families evolve as you get older. And at this point, I think, with Kenji and Ty, it's very much a matter of us throwing out what's going on and inviting them. And sometimes they come and sometimes they don't. But these events that happen in downtown Dayton, that's, tends to be something that we can gather the whole crew for, at least from time to time. So that's fun. Meals are always nice to be able to share with the whole family. So we still try to do that. But, as kids get older and into young adults, I feel like as long as we've got lines of communication open and, we touch base, even if it's in passing or over, a quick meal in the kitchen, it's that connected time that matters the most, even if we don't do as much, full on family activities as we once did.
Yeah.
So Matt and I taught English in Thailand when we were in our mid-20s, and it was pretty soon after we had met and got together. And so we lived on a street called Sukhumvit Soi Nung. And I think about that exact like geographic location pretty often when I'm like thinking about my happy place. Because it was, you know, in this foreign country, and we actually had a really cool apartment. And there was a swimming pool at the apartment complex. There were vendor stalls and, you know, food stalls all up and down the road. So, you know, exotic, but also was very much home because we were there for, I don't know, something like 15, 16 months, I think, living in that apartment. So yeah, I mean, that might be my fave. And then I got engaged, you know, while living there. So, and the rest is history. So yeah, that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, we've never been to Thailand, but someone was just recently telling us we need to go. Like, they were very adamant. They were like, you need to go. It's so amazing. It's such a great experience.
Yeah. It's, we, you know, did the teaching abroad thing there. We had one more visit back several years later, but we haven't been back in definitely over a decade. So I think we're due to go back. So this is a reminder. Thanks for asking me about my favorite place.
Yeah, of course. Right. Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of run the gamut of my passions in our conversation, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm lucky enough to do work that I'm really passionate about, both in terms of, you know, artistic endeavors with my work, the creativity and problem solving, but also the connection with students. I'm really passionate about that, and, you know, passionate about my family and their successes. So I'm hitting the place where I start to think about retiring. Not that it's right around the corner, but it also isn't that far away. And when I think about that, I don't remotely think, oh, I just want to retire so that I can sit around and, you know, watch more Netflix. It is definitely like, okay, we got to, you know, maybe retire from the big job and get a step down job that would be, you know, really cool and interesting, but then get to travel. So travel's always in there. I do sometimes think about teaching abroad again in a, you know, very part-time kind of way as a semi-retirement. So I don't know if I would call that a goal, but you know, it piques my interest to consider that in the future. No matter what, definitely travel is a goal. More travel.
Okay, our last question. You're an inspiration to me because of your creative and kind personality. Who inspires you?
Oh, thanks, Audrey.
You're welcome.
Well, this is pretty inspirational. I mean, look, I've known you since you were so small, and now you're this, you know, grown interviewer who's asking me all these questions. So I really do find inspiration in you.
Thank you.
I find inspiration in your mom. Talking to you is reminding me of her a little bit too. And, you know, she is someone who just kind of opens up the world with her ability to ask questions that really convey a sense of interest. And I think she's got a very special talent in making folks feel special and included in the way she dialogues with them. And I mean, really, truly, I have learned a lot from her in those experiences of both, you know, dialoguing with her, but also just seeing what she does in a social situation where she'll pull in anyone who might feel a little less connected to the center of the conversation. I have always, and still do, identify as an introvert. So folks who are more extroverted in that way have inspired me very much, because I think that you never really shed that that internalized sense of, you know, where you're, how you I think, derive energy. I think that's, when we're defining an introvert or an extrovert, it's like,
Yeah.
this is where my energy source comes from. So, but, social connections are so very, very important to me as an energy source for who I am, that some friends that I've had who are more extroverted have really been inspirational to me in that way, to help me understand how I can, make those connections.
Yeah.
There was a musician, an artist named Suzanne Vega when I was in college, I think. And I very much liked her music, but she's kind of a singer-songwriter. But I remember reading an interview with her when I was about, 20, 22, something like that. And she was explaining being an introvert. I think it was the first time I'd ever even heard someone define themselves in that way. And I was like, oh, I get this. And she seemed so accomplished. And she's explaining in this interview how painful it was for her to make connections and put herself out there.
Yeah.
But that her art propelled her and required her to, to express herself in that way. And that was, I think, a big aha moment for me. So probably, my biggest inspirations have been folks like that who have been compelled to express themselves, communicate, and connect through, I don't know, maybe what they consider to be some barriers to doing that.
Yeah. So, Deb, I want to thank you so much for letting me interview you. I learned so much more about you, and I'm really excited for this to premiere.
Thank you so much, Audrey. This was really fun, and I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon, so we can catch up even more.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yay.
Great. Thanks.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.